Hello, this is the Breast Cancer Awareness Month video blog for the actual dance. My name is Sam Simon, and I am the author of the play and of the book and the performer of the actual dance, a autobiographical story about being the love partner with someone you love through breast cancer. I hope you've been watching or listening to these blogs for this month. I wanted to talk about today, as we're ending the month, getting towards the end of the month, we're just about a week away from ending Breast Cancer Awareness Month and starting a National Family Caregiver Month. And the truth is that in this journey, I was a family caregiver, the husband of a wife who goes through advanced breast cancer and is expected not to survive and is an unlikely, highly unlikely survivor even today, over 20 years later. I learned a lot of things, and indeed, if you've been listening and watching and know the book, my wife's breast cancer radically changed my life. I've been very fortunate in the fact that our story ends with a happy ending. She does survive. And I know and I'm very sensitive to the fact that that isn't always the case. The fact that I've been performing now nearly a decade and wrote this play about 13 years after, had to calculate in my head, 13 years after Susan was diagnosed and ended up performing now for nearly a decade. Actually, January 1st, 2023 will be the 10th year of my engagement in this project of my life of being an actor and telling a transformative story. And that's sort of the part I want to focus on right now, the end of the story. How does it become transformative? And this has been one of the biggest challenges of my performing of this show and telling this story, because we do have a happy ending. Now, I've mentioned before, I once was told by the head of oncology psychiatry at Memorial Sloan Kettering that I, Sam, could never really know what it would have been like had Susan died. And I do know that. It is built in a humility to me. And at the same time, I have seen people, they have been at the show, we have engaged, who have in fact lost someone. I once had asked a rabbi about this, about the idea of loss and moving on, if you will, of recovery, of change. I despise the word heal because I don't think you ever heal. I have been in close proximity to people who've lost people they love. My best friend lost a child, a teenage child, and I have seen a soul cry. That's why I could see how deep that pain was. I've struggled with the idea of how do you move on after that? And I don't even like that word. What is a journey? And I've learned, preparing for today, that while I was thinking it would be different, I think my journey to wholeness, following my experience, while different, is similar to those who actually lose a loved one. We each lose part of ourselves as we go through the process. The journey back to wholeness is going to be different for those who lose the loved one, but even those of us who are privileged to be have a surviving spouse, a healthy spouse, confront a journey as well. I have used the performative, the art, the theatrical work as a tool for my own recovery, my own restoration to some sort of normal. Yet underneath that, in both of these things, I think the same journey. So I'm going to offer this today, the idea that I received and love because I've heard it, but I received as advice from a rabbi. The rabbi teaches pastoral counseling at Hebrew Union College, and she suggested that the way to think about the journey from a ripped in half heart to a new wholeness is similar to what happened in the story of Jacob in the Bible, or in the Jewish Bible, or the Torah. And let me repeat again, though, my journey is different in that I did not lose Susan. In my prior video blog, if you go back a couple of weeks, you will see where I say that I anticipate and I believe that the loss of a loved one, that first of all, that love is when our spirit, our hearts, our souls intertwine as one person. Susan and I are one spiritual being. 56 years of marriage, and we're still at it. Her death would have been a tearing me in half. It was strained, it was stretched, it almost popped, but it didn't. The death of a loved one, particularly a child, will tear a parent or a spouse spiritually in half. Soul will be split, and it needs to somehow come to a new form of survival and everyday working, a new wholeness. So I offer this idea, and I don't even know if this would be considered an idea of hope. It may actually be experienced, and perhaps you'll let me know, as even fearful. What I've come to understand in the idea of wrestling with an existential wrestling match, wrestling with God, the divine. Who did that in the Bible? Jacob did. Jacob, who became Israel, had stolen the heritage, his father's heritage, from Esau, his brother, and was about to reconnect with Esau. They were going to meet again years after having done that. And Jacob was afraid. And he spent the night before the meeting on the banks of a river. And during that night, he dreamt. This was Jacob's dream, Jacob's ladder. He was going up and down a ladder, wrestling with, some say God, some say men, some say angels. The language of the Torah is not clear. And in that existential wrestling match, Jacob prevailed, it says, and he woke up the next morning, and the angel or the voice gave him a new name. So from Jacob to Israel, his new mission in life. His mission was now to lead the Jewish people. And then finally, he was never really completely whole again, because when he woke up, he had a permanent limp in his hip. The analogy, the parallel, is that when we lose someone we love, our soul is damaged, our heart is broken. We are in search for the meaning, and we can be mad at God or mad at the fates. Why did that happen to me? I want her back. I want him back. I want to turn the clock back. the time, the journey it takes for that dream to manifest itself in real life, it's not one night. It is actually, one could call it the long night. It could be months, years, maybe nearly a decade. But at some point, when we can wake up and realize that, yes, I am different. I am a different person without my love. My soul, which was ripped in half, has become whole again, but different. I am not the exact same Sam Simon or John Joseph or whoever your name is. I will be someone else. And my purpose and mission in life. So here's a perfect example from my point of view. I used to be a lawyer. I ran a big company. I was a social justice advocate. And because of Susan's illness and my facing the imminent loss of her, I became something else. I became Samuel A. Simon, the actor. I wrote a play. I perform on stage. I've written a book about this journey, and I meet and talk with people, and I hope I provide some comfort and ideas to the rest of the world and other people who do this thing, who are faced with this challenge. So, yes, I, Sam Simon, became Sam Simon the lawyer, became Sam Simon the author, the performer, the storyteller. And my mission from social justice, going out and working with my friend Ralph Nader in my history, I haven't left that entirely, but that's not the first part of who I am. My new primary mission is to tell this story and to help other people. And I never forget. I never forget. And my memory, my limp, so to speak, is in this, I can almost say cost of doing this. And maybe that's part of it, the struggle, the work to get it out there. Among the hardest things I've had to do, but it's been totally rewarding. And certainly not a physical limp, but it is a limp of its own. It's a challenge, and I've had to figure it out, and it's not easy. Walking with limps is not easy. So I offer this as a vision on how to think about your own journey, and our journey. Breast cancer is going to change who you are, and it's going to change the person you love. Your wife or your mates, your whomever, your love partner's breast cancer. And of course, any cancer will change who you are. And as you go through the process, with grace, you'll survive and be fine. You will still have had an existential journey. You still will be changed. Not like if she dies. Not like if she comes to the edge and you're expecting it any moment. My assurance to you is to let your heart talk to you. Follow the best you can. It may take time, but find your passion. Find your meaning in the post world. And bring gifts to yourself and to others, and find your mission in life. It may be just with your kids. It may be with other family. It may be writing a book, telling your story. It may be creating finding artistic journey and creating memorials. Or it just might be writing a play and getting on stage. Love is what the heart in life, I think, is about. And it is part of the spiritual makeup of each of us. And as it gets stretched and torn and split, maybe close calls or you lose a little bit of it. I don't know that. I do know, or believe, maybe I have to be careful here. I believe that if you lose a loved one, particularly your love partner, you will lose half of who you are. And that even in the coming up to that, you begin to lose pieces, so that even in the anticipatory part of it, you have that kind of loss and need to find a way back to wholeness. So my wish to everyone who goes through this is that you will one day be whole again, and in that wholeness, you'll find new purpose and meaning in life. And I wish everyone the best.